Okay, so I've decided to start releasing some short videos every week or so on the Facebook page that I hope you'll enjoy. Um, at least I hope they're informative or interesting, and I understand I've already committed the cardinal sin of recording in vertical video, but that's how my phone is fitting there on the bench, so here we go. First topic we're going to talk about is improving speed. So I get people that come in all the time, whether during public hours or when we're doing our weekly pistol shooting match, and they ask how do they get faster, whether it's drawing or reloading or transitioning from target to target. Getting faster at shooting is really no different than getting faster at any other skill. I think we've probably all seen videos online on YouTube, Fast Worker compilation number 6000. And it's a bunch of people doing usually a fairly simple job, but doing it faster or more efficiently than really anybody else around them can do. So the question is, how are they doing that? Usually, it's somebody who has a lot of experience doing the same skill over and over and over again. So, just like the clip you just saw, shooting is pretty much the same way. There's a lot of small little skills that you can practice enough to become very good at. More importantly, you become very good at eliminating those additional steps that you don't need to do. Oftentimes, when you're watching a very, very fast competition shooter, it looks like they're moving slower than they actually are, but it's simply because they are so efficient at eliminating all those frantic, erratic motions that other people use trying to get fast that it does not look as fast as they are actually going. Okay, here's one example to illustrate being efficient. So obviously the gun's empty, so I'm not going to accidentally shoot you through the internet. This is what I see a lot of people do on the range. It's a little easier to illustrate shooting double action. But essentially, trigger's pulled and the gun goes off. It cycles and goes back into battery and on target. And the person's finger is still on the trigger, fully pulled to the rear. After the gun is cycled and it comes back down on target, then they begin slowly releasing the trigger, and they're trying to go quickly, and so as soon as they hear that click, wham, they immediately pull the trigger back again, and the vicious cycle continues. A slow reset, and then yanking the trigger. It's not very efficient, and it generally lends to pushing the gun down. So, how to do that more efficiently? Essentially, you want to be doing as many things at the same time as possible. So, press the trigger to the rear, shot goes off. Now, while the gun's cycling, this is basically dead time. That it's going to take the gun that much time to cycle anyway, you may as well use it. This is something that's taught by a lot of people, most notably for me, Ernest Langdon, who is a very prolific double action pistol shooter, and he talks a lot about resetting under recoil. He's not the first person that talks about it, but it's the one I remember because he explains it fairly well. So, you press the shot off. As the gun is cycling, remember we're talking about efficiency, as the gun is cycling, you want to release the trigger so that as it comes back into battery, back onto target, I'm immediately set up to press the trigger again. And this is something that takes a little bit of practice, especially if you are one of the ones, like me, who used to press the trigger and heard that pin the trigger to the rear until the sights come back down on target, and then smoothly reset the trigger forward so you can shoot again. And I'm sure that works awesome sauce when you're bullseye shooting, but it does not translate very well when you're trying to shoot rapidly. In fact, resetting under recoil, besides being efficient, also is very good at eliminating anticipation and yanking of the trigger, because you're not taking all of that time resetting the trigger, getting ready for it to go off, and then wham, all of a sudden going. You have the trigger prepped already, the slack is out, simply drop the hammer the rest of the way. Now, like I said, this is something that requires a little bit of practice. You have to kind of get the timing down. Obviously, this is very, very slow motion compared to what's actually happening when the gun goes off. It's one thing that's so annoying when people talk about the reset of the trigger. Like, for example, Glocks. They have a very, very tactile and audible reset. They have a click, and the trigger almost pushes back into your trigger finger when it resets. And for some reason, that's super, super appealing to people. If you're doing reset under recoil correctly, it doesn't matter. And also, if you're really doing it correctly, you really won't ever hear that reset point because it's happening while the gun is out of battery. That's probably pretty quick and doesn't always happen, but that's what you're going for.